The shift to working from home has a lot of companies rethinking their cybersecurity plans, but a brand new study from IBM finds companies might be doing too much, and that makes it even harder to stop an attack. Here to talk about is Wendi Whitmore, Vice President at IBM's X-Force Threat Intelligence. Wendi, good to see you this morning. So we have all been working from home going on probably about 4 months. What have you seen recently in terms of cyber attacks? Have they picked up?
Yeah, hi, Brian. Great to be here. And yes, they absolutely have picked up. So our increase is over 75%, right, from year to year. So we're running at 175% of where we were at this time last year. Breaches are occurring really at a huge volume on a daily basis. And this report that we released is kind of interesting, right? It's had a number of findings which are super consistent with what we're seeing in the field. And that's that companies are really continuing to improve their security posture and their response planning, but they haven't really gone far enough just yet, right? Technology is better. There's a lot of more skilled personnel in the field, which is great news, but we're still continuing to deliver just the basics on a daily basis.
Hi, Wendi, it's Heidi Chung here. So what really stood out to me in your report was a little part that said that cloud services really improved cyber resilience. Can you elaborate and explain what that means? And is that an opportunity then for a lot of the big cloud players out there?
Absolutely. I think cloud technologies help everyone, right? In that they distribute the workload, we can get access to data faster. And that's never been more important than it is right now, right? Where you have so much of the workforce who's now working in a different environment, remotely and from home. The thing with, I think that the cloud workforce though can also sometimes confuse is this idea that it's no longer a responsibility for an organization to have security within that environment that's hosted in the cloud. And that's absolutely critical. And I think one of the things that we're seeing right now is that so many organizations have plans to do incident response, but they don't actually kind of go across, to the final threshold, which is regularly testing them, right? And so when you're talking about how do you access data in the cloud, how do you respond to it when a breach occurs there, it's really the same thing, that need to continually respond and test and test your plans and make sure you have access to that data, especially if it's not hosted on premise.
Wendi, we talked to a lot of different execs from cybersecurity companies, and they're all working on very interesting technology, but I guess the one takeaway is that a big company is using so many different technologies. Does that hurt them?
This report had some interesting findings. So we see this in the field on a daily basis, right? Where organizations invest in tools and I think have a bit of a false hope that, hey, if I buy this tool, then I don't need to worry about, the people that are using it, for example, or the training or the support to the license that continues to go on. And the reality is that one thing that's most critical with the tools is automation and orchestration. So making sure that just like everything else we do, that the integration of these tools is integrated into the business processes and really up-leveled to that kind of orchestration level of the business so that the data that these tools are giving is being integrated in and decision makers can ultimately access it and take an action, right? We worked a case last week where ultimately the organization said, hey, I bought the best technology in the market and I thought that it was just going to do its job. And we had to explain that, hey, the technology actually did its job. It alerted, it did a great job of letting you know that there was a problem, but there's still a component where human action needed to be taken based on a decision to be made. And so it can be challenging, certainly for organizations, if they don't have the ability to orchestrate those tools together.
Wendi, what's the biggest scam you're seeing happening right now on the internet?
Certainly right now, anything related, right, to COVID-19, things from the CDC, the World Health Organization, and then in the US, those related to Small Business Administration. So we're seeing a huge increase in spam, right? Over 6,000% increase since March in terms of spam related to those topics that I mentioned. And so that's going to personal users, personal email accounts, that's going to business email accounts as well. So really being aware that that's occurring and making sure that you've got spam protections in place. And then on a business note, the biggest thing that's happening is certainly this interest in theft of intellectual property related to vaccine information and testing information. And that's happening at a pretty large nation state level and scale.
All right, really good insight here. Wendi Whitmore, Vice President, IBM's X-Force Threat Intelligence. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Hey investors, Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.